Really delighted and honored now to introduce our keynote speaker, Karyn Olivier. I had the pleasure of meeting Karyn through an introduction from one of our postbac director, Justin Thompson. It was a chance meeting, but from the moment I saw her work, I realized that we will all benefit from hearing about her experiences as a renowned artist. Let me give you a little bit of background about Karyn. She's a fellow at the prestigious American Academy in Rome at the moment, and where she's working in mixed media, including fabricated sculpture, installation, 2D images, prose, and video. Just to give you some further background, in 2017, Karyn installed a large commissioned work for Philadelphia's mural arts program in historic Vernon Park. She produced public works for Creative Time in Central Park and New York City's Percent for Art program. She has received the 2018-19 Rome Prize and has been the recipient of the John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation Fellowship, the Joan Mitchell Foundation Award, the New York Foundation for the Arts Award, a Pollock Krasner Foundation grant, the William H. Johnson Prize, the Louis Comfort Tiffany Foundation Biennale Award, a Creative Capital Foundation grant, and a Harpo Foundation grant. Her work has been reviewed in the New York Times, Time Out New York, The Village Voice, Art in America, Flash Art, Moose, The Washington Post, NKA, Journal of Contemporary African Art, Frieze, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Hyperallergic, among others. She has exhibited at the Gwangju and Busan Biennale, World Festival of Black Arts and Culture in Dakar in Senegal, the Studio Museum in Harlem, the Whitney Museum of Art, MoMA, PS1, the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, Contemporary Art Museum in Houston, the Mattress Factory, Pittsburgh, Sculpture Center, New York, Drexel University, the University of the Arts, Ulrich Museum of Art, University Delaware Museum, among others. Karyn received her MFA at Cranbrook Academy of Art and her BA at Dartmouth College, and is currently an associate professor and program head of sculpture at Tyler School of Art. One of the exciting surprises I heard today was that Karyn was able to spend time with all of you and come see your work at the Frittelli Gallery and share some of her thoughts with your work. So I'm deeply grateful for that too. Karyn, welcome. Look forward to you.
You're probably sick of all the speeches, but I'm going to keep this under 15 minutes, okay? I'm going to try. I timed it. Okay, thank you all for having me here. I accepted this invitation without hesitation. I mean, what an honor and a privilege to join you in celebrating this milestone, this amazing achievement. But as I sat down this past week to craft what I hoped to be the perfect send-off, I became completely flummoxed. I mean, what useful and practical knowledge could I possibly impart to you all that you don't instinctually already hold? I mean, you made it through graduate school, right? And in a foreign country, no less. How could I address your possible futures and pasts when each is guaranteed to be as unique and disparate as the next? So I thought, should I just begin writing this to myself, my younger self that once sat where you are? Surely the real value of a commencement speech lies in passing along hard-earned wisdom, revisiting a successful career's circuitous path, and offering a few shortcuts. Being an artist was not a dream of mine growing up, and certainly not the dream of my immigrant parents conjured for their youngest daughter. When I was one, they brought us from Trinidad to New York with pretty respectable aspirations, great opportunities for study. My dad wanted to be a scientist, and a good educational system for their children. That did, in fact, lead to my three siblings having careers as a surgeon, lawyer, and an actuary. So for me, after 8 years of a fashion business career, I quit, and I announced to my family that I was going to go back to college and study ceramics. So, like, oh, really? So my folks were, they were actually really supportive, but of course they worried. You know, how will she support herself selling plates and bowls? Good luck. But despite that fear, they really were proud and somewhat in awe of this leap I was taking into the unknown. A teaching post with a steady paycheck definitely helped ease their minds, But one of the most fulfilling moments I've had was back in 2010 when my mom said to me, "You're the bravest person I know." And I remember how it shocked me. I mean, it really floored me. And if you could meet my mother, you would know why. I mean, she's incredible. She's a fierce risk taker and utterly courageous herself. But I think what she was touching on, what she was actually referring to, is something else. It takes audacity, confidence, and faith to be an artist. But to be successful as an artist, you also need bravery. This career path will challenge your audacity, your confidence, and your faith. Being brave enough to maintain these qualities and hold your course is the key. I think, too, of each of you making the decision to not only pursue your graduate degree, which is an overwhelming and at times frightening endeavor, but to take this on here. You're all way ahead of the game in terms of risk-taking. Risk-taking is in your DNA. And you're already an international artist. Your identity's instantly expanded for the better. Now is your time, the time to make your mark as citizens and artists in the world. I can only imagine what this experience has afforded you, what this city and country has unlocked for you and in you. What do you do with this gift, this ability to view your homeland from a distance? It will offer you a broader and more incisive lens through which to question, confront, and challenge your country's status quo, presumptions, and compromises. You will find that it is a gift that will never stop giving. And what impact will your time here have on this thing you do called art? What is this thing you have committed yourselves to, and why is it still important? How do you define it today, and how will that change in the future? I think what we offer the world as artists are humble propositions, a schematic of the world we want to see and live in. In our work, we start with nothing, making something from nothing. As theorist David Levi Strauss declares, art is a transformation of matter, and matter can be anything: material, speech, image, discourse, space, environments, lives. Making art now is critical as we live in what feels like a time of dread. We need our work to function as signposts, smoke signals, lighthouses. We need to be the agitators and the disruptors. James Baldwin said, "The precise role of the artist is to illuminate the darkness, blaze roads through the vast forest so that we will not, in all our doing, lose sight of its purpose, which is, after all, to make the world a more human dwelling place." The choices you make politically, socially, ethically, and artistically will impact and dictate the power of your work and its potential to be that signpost. I read a great piece by Toni Morrison, which I suspect probably some of you read after the election of Donald Trump, and in it she recalled the paralysis she felt after the 2004 election, we thought that was bad, of George W. Bush. And to help Toni Morrison out of this state, her friend told her what we know as holding true today. Now is precisely the time when artists must go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We create, we speak, we write. This is how civilizations heal. So now about the shortcuts. As you may already suspect, there aren't any. Each of you will need to find your own bumpy road to a rewarding and happy life. But I can definitely share with you some reliable mantras, some prompts and prods that work for me when life, creative paralysis, distractions, family, money, jobs try to make me forget. So number one, the quality of the questions you ask in the studio are in direct correlation with the quality of the work. My beloved grad professor, Tony Hepburn, will repeat this mantra ad nauseum, but I still say to myself and to my students at Tyler in equal measure, the insistency of those tough questions, that is indeed the really difficult work of being an artist, but it almost always pays off. Number two, use what's right in front of you. I was lucky enough to spend several summers at Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture, first as a participant. You guys have to apply, it's amazing. Later as a dean, one summer. So one summer I shared the studio building with the incredible artist Daniel Boshkov. And if you don't know who he is, I beg of you, I would say take out your phones now, but don't. Immediately following the ceremony, please look him up. You'll feel smarter, just feel like a smarter artist just by knowing his name. So I was really stuck and feeling increasingly frustrated, considering this was a prestigious residency that's really specifically set up to allow the necessary time and space and critique framework to create. So Daniel saw my frustration, or perhaps he just witnessed the lack of any art being created on my side of the studio. So one day he says to me in an almost casual, kind of off-the-cuff way, use what's right in front of you. It was the simplest, most obvious and direct phrase, use what's right in front of you, but in actuality, it's quite complex, layered, and useful in its disparate ways. It has become a mantra, and I actually use an exercise with my students. I give them each a fortune cookie and tell them to go somewhere, and then they have to open it up and use what's right in front of them and make a piece. And I was thinking this phrase can be approached definitely pragmatically and economically. Use materials that you already have, objects that are in your home, in your studio, your body, your voice, your phone, your camera on your phone, the sidewalk, a coffee mug. The supply is really endless. Great art, we know, need not begin with a trip to Home Depot or an art supply store. So this phrase, use what's right in front of you, embodies, too, one of the ways I approach making art. I manipulate and rearticulate everyday and quotidian objects in an attempt to reimagine knowns. Part 2 to Daniel's Savvy Call is a line I think it's attributed to the extraordinary Samuel Beckett. Simple things can be powerful antidotes to everyday blindness. Number 3, do one intentional artistic act each day. We will often forget or push our practice aside when life is doing everything it possibly can to prevent us from working, from going to the studio. But your art has to be present somewhere, somehow, in some manifestation, even when it's on the back burner. There was a time early on during my tenure-track years when I was so bogged down with teaching and the endless admin responsibilities that I had no time to make work. And I thought, what can I do? What can I give myself 30 seconds to do a task every day that would remind me that I'm an artist? So for 3 months, I photographed my abandoned underwear. Literally, I would just take off my underwear, and before I went into the shower, I'd just take a photograph of it. So the first day, I didn't really realize kind of what an exquisite backdrop my white-tiled bathroom floor was, activating these purely by chance compositions. And what was exciting was the following year, that exercise was included in a great exhibition. So what about photographing something on your way to work that reminds you of your practice, or taking on that new age favorite, the Artist's Way book, and write 3 pages for you before getting out of bed and off to the world of responsibilities and distractions. Number 4, create various publics for your work. Work directly in the art world, art fairs, galleries, institutions, but also artist-run spaces, pop-up galleries in a friend's living room. They all have value and will serve you and your work. Apply for grants that allow you to make work that's not dependent on a gallery's commission. Work in the margins. Bell Hooks wrote about leftover spaces, the undesirable neighborhoods between the city center and the outlying suburb. Think birthplace of hip-hop. The boogie-down Bronx was literally burning. New York City turned its back on its residents, and now look, the world is forever changed by its music. So these margins can be physical, for sure, but it could also refer to how and what you choose to create. The margin, Hooks says, is a place of radical openness. 5, be humble and audacious in equal measure. We should hold on to our egos. I mean, we need them as artists, the confidence that grants us the unsolicited right to make work for the public, but have the humility to know that often, maybe it may not be what they want or asked for. Number 6, empathy in action. Feel and then do. Feel and then act. What else is there? Number 7, keep your eyes on your own prize. It's tough to do. I mean, it really, 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 really is. I mean, despite every success, exhibition, prize, acquisition, acknowledgement of your work, there will always be artists who have or seem to have more of those things than you do. It's hard not to compare. I remember years ago, early in my career, talking to an artist who had recently won the MacArthur Genius Grant, and he was really honest and said, my career is great, but it's hard not to compare. Look at Jeff Koons. He's way more successful. And well, monetarily, yes, but there are infinite ways to define success, but you already know that. 8, artist residencies. Apply for them, do them. They provide such utter joy, freedom, rigor, networks, new friends, colleagues, unexpected and brilliant turns, and developments in your practice and summer love. Making work outside of your comfort zone can offer a much-needed jolt. Number 9, this might be the most important. Hold on to your support structure, the community you've created for yourselves here. They will get you through the inevitable tough times of being an artist, be it giving you a maybe virtual studio visit before the important curator comes through, reading all 5 drafts of your artist statement or grant proposal, a buddy to cry with when you receive the 10th rejection in a row, which happened to me, But these folks are also the ones who will tell their gallerist or curator, you know, you should really check out so-and-so's work. Several exhibitions came to me this way, nominations, recommendations. You have the power to help launch and grow each other's careers. Be generous with each other. It will come back to you. Number 10, well, maybe this is the most important. This is the most important. Number 10, commit to the hustle. At the end of the day, we're hustlers. I tell my students all the time that being an artist is definitely the best gig in town, but be prepared to work really, really hard forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. I mean, that part will not get easier. I wish I could say it would, or less consuming, but what a life we can make for ourselves. So I've been thinking about James Baldwin a lot lately, ever since the 2016 election, and his words from 1962, his call on artists are among the very best out there. The artists cannot and must not take anything for granted, but must drive to the heart of every answer and expose the question the answer hides. I'm really trying to make clear the nature of the artist's responsibility to society. The peculiar nature of his responsibility is that he must never cease warring with it for its sake and his own. Societies never know it, but the war of an artist with his society is a lover's war, and he does, at his best, what lovers do, which is to reveal the beloved to himself, and with that revelation, to make freedom real. So I implore you to continue to witness, examine, and admire the things of the world. Accept the invitation, the vocation really, to act, to add, to change, improve something out there. Bust it wide open, and trust that what you reveal will be worthwhile. Congratulations to you all, and I wish you the best that I know will come. Okay.